English interpreter today, so I'm going to start by swearing in the interpreter. Okay, would you raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm that you will accurately translate English into Spanish and Spanish into English to the best of your abilities?
Yes, I swear.
Okay, thank you. So I think we're ready to start. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Office of Tax Appeals. Today's proceeding will be recorded, and as certified shorthand reporter, will be transcribing everything that is said today. The transcript will become a part of the public record, and it'll be viewable on our website after the hearings. In addition, since we have an interpreter today, please remember to speak slowly and clearly into your microphones. So we're going to be opening the record now in the appeal of Marco and Martha Angulo, doing business as Marquis Auto Sales, and that's before the Office of Tax Appeals. The case number is 1905-4809. Today's date is Thursday, February 27th, 2020. The time is approximately 11 a.m., and today's hearing is being convened in Fresno, California. So today's hearing is going to be heard by a panel of 3 administrative law judges. My name is Andrew Kui, and I'm the lead administrative law judge. Judge Teresa Stanley and Suzanne Brown are the other members of this panel. All 3 judges will meet after the hearing and produce a written decision as equal participants. Although the lead judge, myself, will conduct the hearing today, any judge in this panel may participate as an equal participant and ask questions to ensure that we have all the information needed to decide this appeal. For the record, will the parties at the table please state their names and who they represent, starting with the tax agency?
Good morning, panel lead and members. My name is Mary Flor Jimenez. To my left is Jason Parker, and to his left is Christopher Brooks. We're all representing the CDTFA.
Okay. Thank you. And for the taxpayer?
Yeah, my name is Marco Angulo, and I represent Marquis Auto Sales. My name Marco Angulo.
¿Dijiste algo más?
Yo represento Marquis Auto Sales.
So I represent Marcus Auto Sales.
My name is Marvin Angulo, here with my parents, also a representative.
Okay. And my understanding is that you will have 3 witnesses testify today, which is Marco, Martha, and Marvin. Is that correct?
Eso es correcto. Correct.
Okay. And just a quick clarification, I understand Martha and Marco were the owners of the business, but I don't believe I have the title or role of Marvin in the business. So if I can get your role or title.
I was a manager.
Okay. Thank you. Does CDTFA have any objections to hearing the testimony from the 3 witnesses?
No, we don't.
Okay, and my understanding is CDTFA has no witnesses of their own to call, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so on the exhibits, I would note that we received from the taxpayer some additional documents on the February 12th, 2020. So for the taxpayer, we received 7 exhibits. The first 4 are discussed in the minutes and orders. The first one was a list of repossessed vehicles. The second one was a second list of repossessed vehicles. The third one was a notice of revocation. And the fourth one was a bankruptcy order. Those were the original submissions. And then after that, we received 3 additional documents last week or 2 weeks ago. Exhibit 5 was a bankruptcy document. Exhibit 6 were loan documents. And Exhibit 7 were documents for an audit case. And I just wanted to make clear that Exhibits 6 and 7, the loan documents, and the documents for the audit case, those pertain to a different prior audit period with Judge Teresa Stanley. That's a separate case that will be heard later today. I transferred those documents to that other appeal, so we're not considering those 2 documents, Exhibit 6 and Exhibit 7, in this appeal today. And I just wanted to make the parties make sure the parties understood what I did and if there are any objections or concerns with that. Does CDTFA have any objections?
We have no objections.
And does the taxpayer have any objections to that?
Yes, on that, would it be, because so this one was at a later date, it was a carryover to the bankruptcy as opposed to the other case, which was earlier, maybe it was, earlier in the time?
Right, so this case today, right now, this case that we're doing right now is 2012 to 2015. The other case was 2009 and 2000 to 2011. So my understanding was that the intended documents were for the 2009 and 2011, were for that other period, which isn't at issue in this appeal. So that's why I sent those documents to be considered in the other appeal where I thought they would be more relevant. I just wanted to make sure that was what you intended, or if you had any concerns with my doing that.
It would just be that, just to see that, after all this, it resulted in a bankruptcy.
Okay, so you do want the exhibits in this case, but you also want them in the other case?
Both of them.
Okay, so then I will strike my prior order unless the CDTFA have an objection to my going back and keeping the exhibits.
No objection.
Okay, so then we will remain with exhibits 1 through 7 for the taxpayer, and exhibits A through H I have for CDTFA. I believe you have a copy in front of you. Did the taxpayer have any concerns with the tax agency's exhibits?
All good.
Okay, so with that said, exhibits A through H for CDTFA and 1 through 7 for the taxpayer are hereby entered into the record. We'll be able to consider all the documents before us. Does either party have any additional exhibits to add before we move on?
No.
Okay, CDTFA?
No, we don't.
Okay, great, so we're good with the exhibits. So with that said, I believe we're ready to go over the, before we start, I'm going to say that the issue that we're hearing today is whether any adjustments are warranted to the liability as determined by CDTFA. So with that said, we'll start with the taxpayer's opening. What we're going to do today is the taxpayer's going to have a chance to do an opening presentation. CDTFA will have a chance to do their opening presentation, and then each party will have 5 minutes in rebuttal. So with that said, I'll turn it over to the taxpayer for their opening presentation. Before I do that, I would like to swear them in. So I would ask to swear them in one at a time. I'll start with Mr. Marco Angulo. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Martha Angulo, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Marvin Angulo, do you also swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So with that said, I'll turn it over to the taxpayers' representatives and witnesses, and they may go and provide their opening presentation and testimony for today's hearing.
Te lo digo a ti. Okay, en la audición que me hicieron
So, in the audit that they did, I felt
me sentí bien porque la persona que me lo
I
hizo
felt
hablaba
good
español.
because the person who did it spoke Spanish,
Y le expliqué que estaba haciendo mal porque los hizo de la
and I
cantidad.
explained to them that they were doing it wrong because
Lo hicieron, lo estaban poniendo la cantidad que vendían, no de la cantidad en la que
they were
recibían.
putting down the quantity that they made, not the quantity that I was making,
Que recibían.
that I was receiving.
Debería.
On that, what a clarification was, they were doing it as they were filing taxes accrual as opposed to cash, and mostly everything was done in cash. But when they came in and audited it, they did it as if accrual, like they had all the taxes all added up, even if there was none received.
Todos los impuestos fueron sumidos que no fueron recibidos.
Muchos de esos carros los hacemos
Most of those
repos, no me los
cars,
pagaban.
they were repoed and they were not paid.
También las financieras, lo veo financial y finance and thrift,
And then the finances, finance and thrift.
y lo veo financial. Lo veo financial.
And then Lobo Financial,
Los financiaron, pero ellos los tenían que hacer record.
they would finance them, but they had to record them.
Recourse.
Recourse. Thank you.
Y cuando me hicieron la audición contaron todos los carros,
So when they audit them, they had to record all the cars,
pero muchos carros
but most of the cars
no me los pagaron.
were not paid.
Yo decía,
Okay.
"Ok, nosotros todo el tiempo hicimos los taxis de esa forma.
So
porque no
this
sabíamos
was the way how we did our taxes all the time,
de los carros que vendíamos, pero no del dinero que recibíamos.
of the cars that we sold, but not that we received.
Todo el tiempo era el 30 al 40% de dinero que no nos pagaban.
So it was always a 30-40% of the money that was paid.
Y así estamos haciéndolo desde el 1993 que abrimos el
And that's
negocio.
how we were doing it since 1993, since we opened the business.
Okay. Is that all?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, I did have one question about that because I believe there are two audits, and in the earlier audit period, that's not an issue right now. The CDTFA looked at the bank receipts, but in the current audit of 12 to 15, my understanding was that CDTFA looked at vehicle reports that were filed as sales with the Department of Motor Vehicles. So I understand the argument about there being repossessions and the taxpayer is entitled to a bad debt deduction for the repossessions, but I'm not understanding how the sales accrual versus cash basis argument is relevant here because it seems like the audit was picking up sales that were recorded with DMV. So it wasn't looking at returns, it was looking at what the taxpayer reported as making sales to DMV. So I was wondering if you can clarify that, or if that was intending to refer to the other argument, the other audit period, sorry.
Todos los que hicimos, reportamos por el venta de vehículos, eso los pagamos.
So ¿puede decir otra vez?
Los que reportamos en el departamento de vehículos,
So what we reported to the DMV,
pagamos, pero no quería decir que nos los pagaron a nosotros, los
we
clientes.
paid, but that does not mean that the clients paid to us.
Okay. And that is the issue with the bad debts, is that correct?
Ese es el problema con el bad debt.
Y después de que me hicieron la audición esta,
And then once they did the audit for this,
muchos de los que me debían no los pagaron tampoco.
so most of what was owed we were not paid.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I will ask my panel members if they have follow-up questions. I'll start with Teresa.
So we don't get feedback. Thank you. I was just wondering, with respect to your Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2, which both have lists of repossessed automobiles, and then they have associated amounts. Were those the entire amounts, or was it just the amount that was uncollected? I'm not understanding what these amounts reflect.
No estoy segura a qué se debe.
Unos hicieron ricos, los financió
Some were repossessed.
la financiera los hizo rico y ellos los vendieron.
The finance company would repossess them, and then they would sell them.
Pero ese dinero no me lo
One,
dieron a mí.
one moment, please. The interpreter, I'm not hearing you. You're talking very softly right now.
Oh,
So-
sorry. Can I bring this closer?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, ahora sí puede continuar.
Sí que las financieras los hacían ripos, pero no
So the
nos
finance
vendían.
companies would repossess them, but we would not receive
Pero
money.
carros no me lo dan a mí para atrás.
So most of those cars, they would not return those to me.
Ni me
So,
dan el dinero tampoco.
And we also do not get money.
so do these amounts then reflect
reflejan
money that was
Dinero.
never received?
dinero que nunca fue recibido.
Nunca recibí ese dinero.
I never received that money.
A toda esta cantidad nunca me la dieron.
And this amount, I did not receive.
Y eran muchos que yo financiaba también.
And a lot of those were cars that I would refinance.
In-house finance.
Pardon?
In-house financing.
So just to be clear, the repo
Para
is a repossession by the
clarificación,
finance
la
company,
reposición
and
fue
the BBK
por
is
medio de la
a
compañía
buyback
refinanciera,
from- also from the finance company, is
también
that
de la
what you were
compañía
saying?
financiera.
Sí, unos son de la compañía financiera, pero unos eran que yo estaba financiando.
So some of those were through like the refinance company, and then others I would refinance on my own.
Y muchos carros no hallé y nunca me los pagaron.
And a lot of the cars I did not find, and they were not refinanced.
Okay, but this document is titled, it's from Global Financial, so are you saying that there are additional ones that you financed that
Entonces,
aren't
ese
included?
documento es de
on this
Global
list?
Financial. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Oh, so the list, the exhibit that we have lists
Este
documents
papel,
from Global Financial,
titulado
titulado
Global
Are you
Financial.
claiming that
¿Usted
this
está
is the total
explicando
of your
que ese es
bad debts,
el
or are you claiming
total?
that there are additional undocumented
¿O
bad
está
debts
diciendo
where
que
you financed
hay
the purchase yourself
adicionales
that aren't included in the Global Financial document?
cantidades que no están aquí?
Estos cuando me hicieron la audición, estos eran. pero
So when they
después-
did the audit, these were it.
But Tony, there's also a lot of paperwork that we gave the people for audits, we never received back.
También
They
hay
were gonna
muchos
take them for
papeles,
copies, and a lot of those
que
paperwork we never got back, so this is all that
nosotros le
remained.
dimos
But a lot
como-
of those times in the
como
audits,
para
a
de-
lot of the paperwork was
de
given to them to
audición,
show,
pero-
and we never got those papers.
Pero se lo
So there
dimos
was
a
more than
ellos.
this is
Hay
all we
más
have.
papeles, pero no
Okay,
solamente nos
when you
quedamos
said
con
that
esto.
you gave it to the people, are you referring to the customer, or you gave it to some other?
Estos eran en la otra.
Entonces se está refiriendo cuando dijo se lo dieron a la compañía CDTFA, o a quién se lo dieron.
No, pero estos eran de la otra. Estos están más o menos, nomás que los que cuando nos hicieron la audición es los que teníamos. Pero
So
después
when they
hubo
did
más.
the audit, these are the ones that remained.
Okay.
¿Tiene preguntas ella? No, no tiene preguntas ella.
Okay, so.
Entonces ahora ellos van a hacer.
Thank you. The Appellants were a husband and wife partnership that operated from October 1st, 2008 to March 31st, 2017. They ran a used car dealership with a small auto repair shop in Tulare, California. The audit is from July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2015. With this audit, the appellants offered limited documents to support reported amounts. The only records provided during the audit period were federal income tax returns for years 2013 and 2014, dealer car jackets, sales invoices for the repair shop, and purchase invoices. The appellants did not provide a sales journal or summary records of sales, so we are unable to verify the method of reporting. The department obtained DMV vehicle registration data for the audit period, establishing taxable sales of $848,945. That will be on your Schedule 12B, page 55 of our exhibits. Registered vehicles with DMV were traced to sales jackets and vice versa. This procedure established additional sales of 30 vehicles not included in the DMV sales download, which totals to $94,151. That's on your Schedule 12C, page 56. These 30 vehicles were not registered with the DMV by the appellants. In summary, the audit established audited vehicle taxable sales of $943,096. As I mentioned earlier, the appellants also operated a small repair shops to repair vehicles in inventory. In some occasions, they also provided minor repair services to the public. Based on the repair shop invoices, the department established sales of parts totaling $3,032 for the audit period. To compute the unreported taxable sales, we added the taxable vehicle sales plus the audited taxable sales of auto parts to arrive at $946,128. We then compared that amount to the reported taxable sales of $754,168 to establish the unreported taxable sales of $191,960 for the audit period. That will be on your Schedule 12A, page 49, line 24. Appellants provided supporting documentation for bad debts during the audit period. They did not claim any bad debts deductions on the sales and use tax returns or on their income tax returns. The department calculated a credit for bad debts based on sales where petitioner provided their own financing. Appellants provided information on sales of 40 vehicles showing that the vehicles had been repossessed and a loss sustained. That's on your Schedule 12F1 and on page 64. The department scheduled these sales on an actual basis and used a pro rata method in accordance with the guidelines provided by Regulation 1642, bad debts, to compute the allowable bad debts totaling $62,457 for the audit period. Since appellants did not claim any deductions for bad debts, the $62,457 was allowed as a credit in the audit. As far as Exhibits 1 and 2, we noted that Exhibit 1 items listed are also in Exhibit 2. There is no dispute that appellants made sales to customers who obtained financing from Lobel Financial. However, there's no indication on the Lobel Financial list that appellants are eligible to a deduction for the bad debts. Specifically, appellant did not provide an election statement showing that they were entitled to claim a deduction for bad debts or any of the repossessed of returned vehicles. Additionally, there's no indication from the Lobel Financial list as to when appellant sold each vehicle to each customer and whether appellant paid sales tax on each sale. As such, there is insufficient evidence to conclude the appellants are entitled to a bad debt deduction from the Lobel Financial list. Subdivision E of Regulation 1642 explains that in support of deductions or claims for credit for bad debts, a retailer must maintain adequate and complete records showing, 1, the date of the original sale, 2, the name and address of the purchaser, 3, the amount the purchaser contracted to pay, 4, the amount on which the retailer paid tax, 5, the jurisdiction where the local tax and district taxes were allocated, 6, all payments or other credits applied to the account of the purchaser, 7, evidence that the uncollectible portion of gross receipt on which tax was paid actually has been legally charged off as a bad debt in accordance with Regulation 1642. And 8, the taxable percentage of the amount charged off as a bad debt, properly allocable to the amount on which the retailer reported and paid tax. Based on the evidence presented, the department concludes the audited taxable measure is reasonable, fair, and accounts for all vehicles and parts sold. We also allowed a bad debt credit in the amount of $62,457 plus a tax-paid purchase resold for gasoline not claimed for $5,039. Therefore, the appellant's appeal should be denied. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you. So you indicated that the taxpayer didn't claim bad debts on their federal returns,
That's correct.
but also that they only provided returns for 13 and 14. So did CDTFA look at, because the audit period also included 12 and 15, did they look at returns for 12 and 15 to see if bad debts were claimed?
No sabíamos cómo hacer eso.
I don't believe we had the 2012 and 2015 income tax returns during the audit. So it wouldn't have indicated that they claimed any bad debt.
Okay, so then the answer is that no, you didn't look at 12 or 15 returns in determining whether a bad debt deduction was allowable? If I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, and also with, I guess, with the bad debts that they're claimed in, once it's charged off, so I'm wondering, I'm not sure, some of these might be allocable to 16 or 17. I'm not sure if that might be the case, so maybe I should turn to the taxpayer. I'll ask the taxpayer, did you claim any bad debts on income tax returns for?
You know, the thing about that is they said there were no deductions, and it was because they personally filed them themselves and were not aware of the, how to file taxes properly, so they claimed no deductions, and there were many of deductions, like they said gas, but I mean, there's a whole lot of deductions that were not claimed because they filed the taxes themselves, and they did not know how to do it properly. So,
Are you,
Say they, do you mean
my,
your
the
parents?
parents, Marquis Auto Sales, the business, they filed the taxes by hand. There was no computer, no method. It's all just by hand, by files and by books. And so that's where a lot of the numbers looked inflated because they, were kind of guessing how to do it.
okay, and when you're talking about the returns, I was asking about federal income tax returns, so then you're saying that the federal income tax returns were also filed by your parents?
They're a sole proprietor, so they filed federal and business together.
Okay. Okay, I see.
Sole proprietor.
And they didn't claim any bad debts on?
Nothing at all. And then they had like rent or utilities and all this stuff that nothing was claimed.
Okay. And just for the taxpayer, also a quick follow-up, because I think CDTFA had mentioned that since these were sales by, financed by a lender as opposed to financed in-house, they were looking for some sort of an election that would have allowed you to claim. I'm just wondering, how did this work with your lender? Did you get paid when the sale was made? How did you receive payment after you made a sale that was financed by a lender?
Okay.
Oh, yes.
There was, like on Lowell and financing trips, there was a recourse that if we sell the car, we have to sign for the person. If the person didn't sign, and they will save the money. If the person didn't didn't pay, then they will get the money from us.
Okay, I see.
Like a cosigner.
So these
We
were
the
recourse
co-signers for
loans.
for a lot of people. Yeah, for all the people that we send over there.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, these are recourse loans, and if the purchaser didn't pay, the lender would collect from their business.
Yes, and then, okay, like the finance, well, let's say, okay, this car is 5,000, and then they will give us 3,000 and keep the other one. But and then if the person didn't pay, they will want their money back. That's why when they repo, they kept the car so they can get their money back. And then they think that we get all the money.
Okay.
And there's one more thing, I'm not sure how important this is, but the business opened in 1993. There's, on all the papers it says 2008, but they opened the business in 1993.
Okay. Was there ever an agreement with Lobola as to who would be able to claim the bad debt deduction?
¿Hiciste un agreement con el Lobo Financial de que si ellos no te pagaban, si las personas no pagaban, tú ibas a pagar? Yeah. He make an agreement that the people didn't pay, he had to pay.
Oh, okay, so, but as far as who who would be entitled to claim a deduction. Was that ever discussed in writing with Global, that you or them would be able to claim a bad debt deduction for these transactions?
The finance company had the titles.
Okay,
The finance company had the titles.
okay, thank you. Are there questions from the panel?
Ay,
And
también.
and there was just one more thing, just for clarification, they filed the DMV and the tax returns the same, so that's where they both did the accrual instead of the cash method on both personal and state, and reported to the DMV all accrually, not the cash, based on what they got in. They did it on overall sales.
Como
Okay,
hicieron en
thank you.
todas las ventas.
Okay, otra cosa.
Okay, first with the CDTFA, just to clarify, on pages 81 to 97, you have bad debt charts. Is that the charts that were used to come up with the 62,000 and something that was allowed as bad debt deductions?
Ellos sumaron de la cantidad de $60,000.
Yeah, me too. Just say, Judge Stanley, page 87.
81 to 97. On your index, it says that those are the bad debts.
Página donde dice malas de-
The pages 81 to 97 look like it's a reference for Regulation 1642. So it's a copy of the regulation.
Dos es una copia de la-
The audit working papers has the bad debts, and I can find it'll be under Exhibit E.
Y están en el papel E.
Except that Exhibit G is a list of scheduled vehicles similar to the DMV list.
Una lista en la página G es similar a la lista del Departamento de Vehículos.
I'm not sure if the exhibit that we downloaded is what was printed, so it might be a different copy.
I was looking at the one that's online.
The electronic?
And yes, and the revised exhibit list says Exhibit G, bad debts, and it refers to pages 81 through 97, which on the electronic copy have charts that are similar to the DMV charts.
A los archivos del Departamento de Vehículos.
I think you're looking at the exhibits for the wrong case. There are no numbers on these ones.
Okay, my fault.
Oh,
That is the exhibits in the other case.
okay.
Okay.
Esos son los papeles del otro.
Judge Brown, did you have any questions?
Preguntas.
If I ask a question to CDTFA,
Quiere hacer una pregunta. No tenemos una situación donde las que pagan los apelantes explican
they didn't
que
claim a
no
bad debt
reclamaron mala
deduction
deuda
on,
en sus
sounds like
impuestos.
essentially understand the complexities of
No
it.
entienden,
I
se escuchan
understand that
como
the
que no
auditor made
entendieron.
some allowance,
No entiendo
but
que la
what
persona que
is
hizo la audición
one of the other options for the
permitieron unas
taxpayer
cosas. ¿Cuáles Son sus opciones. Cuando están diciendo que
entitled to a greater amount. Know that they apply.
como ellos están diciendo que entienden, que no entendieron cómo.
I think the first part is we need that agreement. We need to actually see that agreement so we know who is allowed to have that bad debt deduction.
Bien, debería de tener esa mala deuda, la deducción de
The
la mala
auditor never
deuda.
got access to
No,
what you're saying.
Entonces,
That's
él
correct.
nunca recibió como los contratos.
But he asked,
Entonces, le vamos a preguntar a los apellantes,
you know why, is
¿usted
that
sabe
correct? That
eso es
the
correcto?
contract was not
Que los contratos con Globo no fueron proveídos a ellos, a CDTF.
Todos se los enseñé a la señora persona que me hizo la audición.
So I showed everything to the person that did the audit.
And you don't have a copy of
¿No tiene una copia del contrato con Globo ahora? Actualmente no lo tiene.
No lo tengo, nomás tengo los nombres.
No, I don't have it. I just have the names.
Otra. De las reparaciones. Ya de las reparaciones que
The
hacíamos,
repairs that we did,
le pagaban a... Nunca le ponemos parte nosotros, los clientes traían las partes.
so we never provided the parts. The clients would always bring in their parts.
Y era muy poco porque los demás eran
And it was
personales.
very little because the rest were personal,
I mean, carros del shop.
were cars from the shop. ¿Sí tiene esa lista? Cuando tuvo un acuerdo con Globo, ¿no tiene otros documentos acerca de los cargos? Solamente tiene las reposiciones.
Estas reposiciones me hacían que pague este dinero, las cantidades estas.
There's a second thing.
Y esos también. Pero son cartas que ellos me mandaban.
So these were letters mail that was sent to me. No hay más documentaciones para apoyar malas deudas basado nada más en lo que ha proveído.
Y es todo lo que tengo.
Yes, that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. If either judge have any more questions before we move on to final arguments, closing arguments?
I guess I wanted to ask CUTFA if you respond to the opponent's argument about the cash versus accrual method.
Como el efectivo
Is
versus
is
accrual.
what they're describing correct, or do you disagree with?
¿Es correcto o está de acuerdo?
We're supposed to, they're supposed to report on an accrual
Ellos
basis.
deberían,
And yes, we
de
did the
reportar
audit
en
on an
bases de
accrual basis.
accrual rural. Y sí lo hicimos.
I don't think I have any.
Okay, at this point, I would like to turn it over to each party to have a brief opportunity to raise any final issues, comments, concerns. I'll start with the taxpayer, and I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes to say what you would like before we conclude, and then I'll.
Accrual, we did not use the accrual method, we used cash method. We used it since we started in 1993, but we reported accrually, so that's where we always had problems.
Pero siempre como accrual. Y así es porque teníamos problemas.
Okay, is there any other final comments that you would like to make today?
Si hay unos comentarios finales que quieran.
Otras audiciones que me habían hecho, todas habían salido bien.
So the other audits that they had done in the past, they had been finalized good. The outcome was good.
Y todo desde el 1993 estamos haciendo los
Since
taxis así.
1993, we have been doing our taxes like that.
Y hubo muchas cuentas que no nos pagaron y nunca nos regresaron.
So there was times where they we had people owed us, and they never returned the money to us.
Yeah, and then when the guy came, he did it the opposite way, as if all the income we took in, we collected, as opposed to we only collected what they actually paid us.
Okay. CDTFA, you now have an opportunity to make any final closing arguments that you would like.
We have no additional comments.
Okay, so I believe we're ready to conclude today's hearing. Just make sure the final panel members don't have any final questions. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming in today. The appeal is now submitted on February 27th, 2020. We'll be issuing a decision within 100 days of today, and we'll send it out in the mail. The case is now adjourned. We'll have a brief recess before we do the next appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y antes de empezar la siguiente apelación, entonces vamos a tomar un descanso.
Después, así,